Hi, this is Alcam. Welcome back to my channel. Uh, we got more information about the situation with the congested pricing. The project that was canceled by Kathy Hochul, with now the possibility that some uh, projects for the New York City subway system, majority of it, and maybe the commuter is now in jeopardy. I lost on Jeopardy, baby. Ooh. Uh, and nobody's laughing because really it's not funny. But I'm saying it's because unfortunately it is kind of funny in some ways because some people got godsmacked Wednesday and they don't like it. And they blame Kathy Hochul for it, the governor. Well, I'll explain what happened here. This is from AM New York. It's a Democrat paper from Newsday. Congested pricing, $15 billion in transit improvements in jeopardy at the Hochul halts Manhattan toll plan. Ooh. So Kathy Hochul, 11-hour decision to halt New York congested pricing program put a big question mark on $15 billion in mass transit capital improvements the NTA planned to undertake over the next few years, many of them which the agency said were urgently needed. But she threw him under the bus anyway. The governor announced on Wednesday that the toll, which would have charged $15 for most motorists entering Manhattan south of 60th Street and was set to begin on June 30th, would be indefinitely postponed, arguing that she could not impose any additional costs on already struggling New Yorkers, which is a lie. Because if you saw this Eyewitness News app, the minority leader of the House, Hakeem Jeffries, warned Kathy Hochul that if the congested pricing were to go into effect on the 30th as scheduled, because of the Trump conviction of the week before, the chances of winning back the House in November will go south for the winter for a very long time. Maybe not the exact words, but enough to scare the heebie-jeebies out of her, and she come up with this ridiculous story about worried about New Yorkers' financial. No, you weren't worried about that. You were making so much fun of Trump and the people that tried to warn you about doing this, and the people who went to that rally in the Bronx. You called them a bunch of clowns, and then you said that black kids don't know what the word computer means, even though they have iPhones, Androids, iPads, iPods, and whatever else. A lot of these things are computers. But, you wanted to say these dumb things, and plus you say, oh, what's happening to Trump is not going to happen to anybody else. Well, she got godsmacked, she got egg in her face, and then she got clown makeup all over her. And she had to come up with the sorry story. About the New Yorkers you didn't care. You were going to do it anyway. Until Hafreen's, whatever his name, says, oh, we're going to lose the House. Oh my gosh, I got to come up with a story to cancel this. Okay. Okay. It was a America about face for the governor, who until Wednesday has sung the praises of the program, and which intended to reduce punishing traffic in Manhattan and clean up the city air. Not really, because the air would now go to Long Island, into the Bronx, into Brooklyn, into Queens, into Jersey. It's just the area between 60th Street and South Ferry would be the only thing that have clean air. In Upper Manhattan. Nice try. Most to the point, though, the plan would have raised billions of dollars for critical improvements to the MTA transit system, in which more than a century old and showing its age. Congestion pricing is projected to generate $1 billion per year in revenue, enough to leverage the issue of $15 billion in municipal bonds for a huge slew of capital projects. These projects are, at least for now, in limbo as Gov Hochul consider alternate funding options. Says, what is in limbo? Yes, let's do the limbo. Let's do the limbo. Yeah, right. Okay. Phase 2 of the 2nd Avenue subway extension of the Q line to 125th Street is now in limbo, even after the feds agreed to distribute $3.4 billion in infrastructure money to the project. That money was preceded on the MTA being able to pay its own share of the financing, which depending on congested pricing. Furthermore, the future Interborough Express, a proposed light rail line between Brooklyn and Queens that Hochul had described as a baby, is up in the air. This line was supposed to operate from South Brooklyn all the way up to Queens, so people didn't have to go into Manhattan. Right now, if you want to go from Brooklyn to Queens or Queens to Brooklyn, you have to go into Manhattan to do so, unless you go on the G line. And the G line is... The MTA also intended to use the money to replace the Great Depression era analog train signals with the modern communication-based train control, or CBTC, which allowed trains to run closer together and has contributed to a surge in reliability, which has been implemented on the L line and the 7 line. What they didn't tell you is it took a long time to get these two lines working. The MTA is now unable to re-signal the A and C line in Brooklyn, the B, D, F, and the M lines in Manhattan. What a shame. Decades of deferred upgrades to signals were led to the primary cause of the 2017 Summer of Hell. Yeah, I remember that. Where we're tripping all over the place. Which convinced lawmakers to get on board with the congested pricing in the first place. The agency also cannot complete planned upgrades of 39 subway stops and 9 Long Island Railroad stations to make them accessible for people with disability, nor purchase the 250 electric buses, or upgrade 11 bus depots to be capable of electric charging. Whoa. Maybe they should ask Tesla for help. It can't buy new 211 subway cars to replace aging rolling stock on the rails, some of them dating back to the Gerald Ford administration. Oh yes, we had the 1975 subway cars from Pullman. That's when the disco era started. Rock the boat, don't rock the boat, baby. Rock the boat, don't tip the boat over. Rock the boat, don't rock the boat, baby. Rock the boat. But she rocked the boat. Boom! Right? There was also plenty even less sexy items critical to maintaining the system that would have been funded. Painting century-old outdoor subway structures to prevent steel corrosion. Repairing ventilation, public address systems, and water pumping systems. Fixing electrical substations serving 15 subway lines, and replacing elevator and escalator at a dozen stops. All these projects were expected to support more than 20,000 jobs across New York region, the MTA says. 20,000 jobs, they went, bye-bye, south, gone, see ya. So on Thursday, the City Independent Budget Office said the abrupt postponement will complicate the long-term competitiveness of New York City. But unfortunately, Kathy Hochul needed to save the jobs of these folks in the House of Representatives in Washington, D.C. over the 20,000 jobs they would have had in New York. See how it works? Yes. See, the capital plan is in jeopardy. The MTA capital plan is is distinguished from the operating budget, which is funded by the fares and the government subsidies, and go towards things like payroll for 70,000 employees, and electricity to power the subway's third rail. And unfortunately, the New York City transit employees get the worst of everything. We have the worst pension, the worst medical, the worst everything. Because they treat us like second-class citizens and third-class citizens all rolled into one. I should know, unfortunately, when I retired, they cut my wife off my medical, so we couldn't go on vacation because we got to make sure her lupus was being taken care of. Thank you, MTA. The capital budget, meanwhile, finance long-term construction projects that keep the transit system in working order, as well as those that expand its ability to serve New Yorkers. That include the mega expansion projects like the Second Avenue Subway, modernizing signals, making subway stations accessible to people with disability, and replacing diesel buses with electric ones. Unlike the operating budget, the capital program is funded through debt from bond issues. For the current $55 billion capital plan, most of the bonds were backed by taxes on e-commerce goods and on high-end real estate. They're making no money off of Trump, and they're still not satisfied, right? But the $15 billion was to be backed by congestion pricing revenue, which the MTA officials also contended would have been a stable source of revenue for future plans. But you gotta remember, the reason why they're having financial problems is mostly the fare beating, between $700 and $700 million losses, courtesy of the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. Vance Jr. was the first one who came up with this stupid idea. Then when Al Braggs came in, he extended it, kept that, and then added the other charges not to be, filed or reduce a misdemeanor whatsoever. The only felony he charged anybody is Trump. So, without congested pricing, the MTA is not able to complete the project. Bonds can only be issued against a revenue stream once, and new bond issues must be approved by the legislature. That would also pile even more uncertain debt on the MTA's $50 billion outstanding load, explained the MTA researcher Raquel Fossey at, I don't know what the hell, Revening, Albany, I don't know what the hell that is. The only way we can keep the capital project alive is to come up with another pot of money, says Foss, and it does not appear that there's a political will to do so. Hochul on Wednesday said her administration has set aside money to backstop the capital plan, but did not specifically how much money there is or from where it would come from. Meanwhile, Manhattan State Senator Liz Krueger, chairman of the powerful financial committee, said she is not aware of what she is referring to or what she believes that money will come from. You know, this lady could lose the governorship in the next election because of this. Now make up Plan B. Is that a contraceptive? Maybe. Hochul reportedly wants to pass a new payroll tax to increase on New York City businesses to replace the funding. But there appears to be little appetite for that in Albany, especially after last year's bump to rescue the NTA's slumping post-COVID operation budget. Business leaders also expressed distaste of any potential payroll tax increase. They even tax the MTA for their payroll. As such, transit leaders have said that there is no plan B for transit investments should congested pricing not go through, and since the MTA is not an executive agency but a public authority, there will or are questions of whether the board members would be violating their fastidious duty to the organization by allowing the governor plan to go through. I think if the legislature don't give them any alternate funding, they can't exercise their fiduciary duty, says I can't see how they square their duty to protect the financial interests of the NTA, which is set by law, with defunding themselves of $15 billion. The board is nominated independently, but is effectively controlled by the governor, who appoints the whatever of the membership and large control of the purse strings. But several board members have publicly expressed shock and dismay at the governor's move. One of Eric Adams' appointees suggests in a Lincoln Post that the decision should come to a vote by the NTA board, which is next meet on June 26. If you care about jobs from engineering, construction, and good-paying union jobs, this is the moment. She said, I say I am disappointed in a true understatement. The NTA is already inked a $500 million contract to install, operate, and maintain the network of cameras that we levied tolls to enter the central business district. Now that network is functionally useless. In other words, it's all show and no go. So when June 30th rolls around, it was supposed to go beep 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 all day, collecting $15 from cars and more from trucks and whatever. Now on June 30th, when it comes, if you didn't hear anything coming from me, because that's exactly what the machinery is going to be doing on June 30th. Stay silent, not a pin drop, not $15 being collected, nothing. It's just going to sit there, useless. It's just going to be decoration, expensive decoration. That's all it's going to be. That was a waste of money to put all that stuff up, that infrastructure, all over the city from 60th Street to South Ferry, and they're not going to collect a dime. It's going to be like my GoFundMe pages. The only difference is my 4 GoFundMe pages didn't cost me a dime, but their infrastructure for this congested pricing cost them millions, and they're not going to collect a dime either. But the problem is they got to pay the people they put the stuff up for, and yeah. Unless, of course, you don't want to pay them and they come and take the stuff down. Oh, Kathy Argo, you really screwed yourself this time, big time. My goodness, woman. You got gobsmacked, you got clown-faced, and you got egg in your face, all rolled into one. And your future as a governor might be a one-termer. Oh, how does that feel? Not good, huh? I know you were smiling and jumping for joy last week when Trump was being convicted, but now, thanks to the conviction, in order to save those seats at the U.S. House of Representatives that would have been affected by congestion pricing, and they had to pay the $15, you had to cancel it. You threw the NTA under the bus. You threw all these people who supported congestion pricing under the bus. And I don't know what else to tell you, but you fucked up. Isn't that lovely? Hope to see you on the unemployment line one day. So this is Alkane saying so long for now. And don't forget to stop. We apologize how long the video is, but we had a lot of material to go through. And we had a lot of criticism for the governor to go through. And we have to thank all the people who screwed this up for the supporters of congested pricing. but we don't have time. Okay, bye.